Hey y'all, it's Ian at Georgia Campers, and first thing I want to tell you is Happy St. Patrick's Day. Got my green hat on here with my little shamrock, which means nobody's going to pinch me, I hope anyway. I know that normally when I talk to you in a camper, and I kind of go through the camper and its features and tell you all about it. But today I thought I'd change it up a little bit. One of the things that happens all the time when people come on the lot is that they want to know what kind of camper is going to work for them. And I realize that people walk on the lot and they think they should know. And the truth is, it's really hard to know just from a video or a floor plan that you look at online. I tell people that there's about 5 questions that they need to ask to figure out what kind of camper and floor plan and layout works for them. So the first one that you got to talk about is who is going on your camping adventure. So I was talking to somebody yesterday, and really I explained to them that camping is like a life cycle. You know, the whole idea of campers is a life cycle. So everybody that comes on the lot is somewhere on that 5-step life cycle. The first one, it could just be a couple or an individual. No kids, no additional people. If it's a couple and they're just starting out, then they might originally, it's just them, and then they have littles. You know, they've got young kids, you know, between newborn and 5, 6, or 7 years old. Then you have the dreaded tweens, you know, where they're not little anymore, but you still know something as a parent, and all you parents understand exactly what I'm talking about. Then you get to the dreaded teenage years. They're not camping with you so much. Or, on the alternative, not only are they wanting to camp with you, but all their friends want to come. And then you get into where you've got adult children or other adults that want to come with you. And then you're right back at couples again, where it's just the two of you or just you again. And so somewhere on that life cycle, anybody that walks in here can fit into one of those little boxes. Now, if you don't care about having space for anybody except you or you and your significant other, that's one direction. If you want to definitely have space for additional people, be it kids or adults, that's another direction. And here's the 2 directions. You either want bunks or you don't want bunks. And if you don't want bunks, it's called a couples coach. Whenever you talk about bunks, anytime that you see that word used with a camper floor plan, it means 2 beds on top of each other. But you can have bunks, front bunks, mid bunks, rear bunks, standard bunks, queen bunks, double bunks, quad bunks, a bunk room, or a bunkhouse. And all of those different configurations talk about the size and the layout of the bunks in the camper. So if you're going to have teenagers with a whole bunch of kids with them and they need their own space and a television, then you're going to kind of want to lead to a bunk house. If you've got adults or couples that you want to put in a bunk, you might want to consider double bunks or quad bunks, or even queen bunks. If you've got littles, you can do standard bunks. So you can already see there's a ton of different ways that you can look at a camper configuration that will fit exactly what you want to do. All right, so one of the things I want to talk about, and one of the areas in the groups that I want to talk to, are those couples who have come through the camping life cycle. They don't have little kids themselves, but they may have grands. Now, I'm in that space in my life too, where I don't have little kids, but my grandkids, my oldest one will be 5 in May. We have 4 and then 2 more on the way. And they camp with us sometimes, but not all the time. Well, what I have to determine if I'm buying a camper is whether or not I want a bunkhouse or a bunk room space to take up most of my living area when they're not with me. So that's one of the first things that you have to decide if you are a grandparent that has littles, is to figure out if you want them to always have a space, or if a couch or a dinette that drops is enough room for them, and that would be okay for the few times a year they might be with you. All right, so if you've determined that a bunkhouse is not for you, then we get to talk about couples coaches. Front kitchens, front livings, rear baths. All of those indicate that there is not a bunk for someone to stay in, but there is a bedroom for the couple to stay in. That's why it's called a couples coach. So this one that I'm standing in, this camper that I'm actually sitting in, is a 271 from Outback. It's a UFK. FK stands for front kitchen. So the kitchen's over here. Then I'm sitting at the dinette, which does become a bed. And then behind me is theater seating, where a couple can sit here and watch TV. TV's behind me. But this camper is not designed for littles. Now, can you have kids in it? Sure. But this camper is designed for a couple that wants to travel and just enjoy their camper just for them. Now here I'm going to show you a couple of different campers that we've got on the lot. So here's a front kitchen and a picture of it. Then we have a rear kitchen, a front living. This is a fifth wheel, a rear living, and we don't have a rear bath in stock right now, but we do have one coming early summer. All right, so now that we have determined whether or not you want a bunkhouse or a couples coach, the next thing is to decide what are you towing with. So a Jeep Grand Cherokee will absolutely tow, but it might not tow as much, and it definitely won't tow as much as an F-350. You have to consider weight. What will your tow vehicle tow? And if you go to our website at Georgia Campers, there's actually a towing calculator where you can put in the year, make, and model of your tow vehicle, and it will spit out a list of campers that your tow vehicle will safely tow. You never want to max out your tow weight. That's just not a good idea for your vehicle and your transmission. It's a terrible, terrible idea. The next thing we have to talk about is the length of the camper that you're going to tow. Now, we've had plenty of people on the lot that have been on the road truck drivers, and they have towed big tractor trailers, so they're fine with the big camper. And then we have people that come on that have never towed before, they just bought a truck, and they're not comfortable towing something really long. The other thing you have to think about is where are you going to tow it? So if you plan to hook a camper up to your truck and go to all the national parks in the summer, that's a great idea. The average length that a national park will let you tow in is 27 feet. So you don't want to get a 35-foot camper because you might not be able to tow and pull into a campground. You also have to check the campgrounds that you like to go to. Maybe some of them are small and you can't get into there with a really big camper. So your weight and your length are your next two big questions after the bunkhouse or the couples coach. Probably the next set of criteria that you need to think about is what do you want to be able to do with your camper? In other words, what's important to you? Are you the kind of camper that likes to be outside of their camper the whole time that the camper's parked and you're never in it except to sleep? Or if it's a rainy day, or do you just like to be inside? Are you planning to work from your camper? Do you like to craft? Do you want to sit inside and watch TV and just look out the windows at wherever you might be just to get away from it all? How big are your tanks? Do you need to take water? Are you more into being off-grid? Do you want solar? All of these things are really important when you start thinking about what kind of features are important in your camper. Do you like to cook outdoors? Do you need an outdoor kitchen? Do you want an outdoor shower? Anything that you might want, we can get you and we can put you in the right camper, but you got to be able to tell us what's important to you. Last and certainly not least, now that we've figured out whether or not you need a bunkhouse or a couples coach, what features are important to you, what you're towing with, what length you're comfortable with, now we got to talk about your budget. So we have campers on site and we work with a number of financing options and banks. You can get in a camper for as little as $8 a day. Now, what works best with your finances? That's the other thing that we're here to help you figure out. Camping, y'all, camping is so important. I started camping when I was little. My dad had one of those big giant canvas tents, and I swear it weighed more than a Volkswagen Bug. We had to waterproof it before we went camping every year, roll that sucker up, and I swear it was like this big around. It was giant. But no matter what, you need to get your kids out there and you need to get out in the great outdoors and enjoy it. I had a mom in here a couple of months ago who sat in the back and was going to take her grandkids, and she said, I miss this with my kids. I can't wait to take my grandkids. And y'all, it's so important. I mean, being outdoors and being with family and being in a camper that you love, this is a family business. This is all about finding you the right camper for what you want to do. Now, we are here, Georgia Campers, at 27 Herring Road in Noonan. We have a playlist here. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come look at our videos. I get videos up of all the campers we've got as soon as we get them on board, and I would love to help you pick your next camper. Y'all, thanks for tuning in with me. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Y'all have a great day.